one of the reasons that I teach at SUMA is that it's a small class and I know every student, and it's very individual. So really writing about what I do as an Emerald educator is really difficult. It's not a blanket statement because it really is dependent on the kid in front of me. So my response for Charles and what I'm teaching Charles and my goals for Charles look a little different than they do for Stephen. They're just not the same. And so to really describe it, I have to know the kid that I'm talking about. I can tell you some generalities, some things that kids have in common, some things that we do in the Emerald Room that build on those commonalities. That's really one of the things that we focus most on in the Emerald Room is our commonalities and working together, building trust, being in relationship, and doing things cooperatively. Those are things that kids of this age, which 8 through 11 is basically what I've got, kids of that age are really working on doing that. They've mastered a lot of the things that were required in the Explorer Room and the Sapphire Room, things that they could do by themselves. And now it's learning to do things that they couldn't do by themselves that they need a group to do. And how do we navigate being with some people now and doing things in a group? And that's a real challenge for a lot of the kids. So that's a huge part of what we do. I really think of the Emerald Room as a transition between the Sapphire Room and the Onyx Room. In the Sapphire Room, you've got a highly structured environment. It's a lot of here's how we do it, here's how it works, let's talk about how it goes. And in the Onyx Room, it's very independent. It's you guys know how to do this, you've done it before, you've seen this before, you're capable of doing it. Let me give you as much freedom as you can take, and really building the responsibility and the freedom and the autonomy in the Onyx Room. And I'm the bridge between those. And the way that I structure that is I say, okay, you've been able to do the things you could do by yourself down here, and when you're in the Onyx Room, you're going to be able to do it all by yourself. Let's look at how we do them in small groups and in large groups, and how we work together to accomplish the tasks that you can't yet do by yourself. So that's my challenge. The way that looks, to give you an example, math lesson this week, we're working with base 7. It's new to everybody. It's a brand new concept for every single person. Nobody's ever worked with base 7 or a different base number system, period. So when we start with it, I start with a brief lesson, just like a really quick 2-minute overview, usually a narrative structure. It's got some visual component, it's got some auditory component, it's got something they can really latch onto and get in with. And then after I've got them in, they work in a small group doing that. I give them some kind of manipulative or a sheet or a challenge, a problem, some puzzle to solve, and then they work cooperatively to do that without my intervention. If they need my help, they know they always have it. They can always raise a hand and get me to come over and ask a question, but their goal, the thing that they know they're working on, is working together. I had a student just this week say to one of the other students, it's not about the answer, it's about us working together. And that's precisely what it is. It's about them doing it together as a group. So that's a general template of what it looks like in the Emerald Room. It's a cooperative group activity, a small lesson on my part, and then a lot of how do we do this thing and how did it go. After the lesson's over, after we've done a group activity, after we started with something really simple like building a domino rally, how did the debrief? How did it work? Did we cooperate? Did we get along? What was it like to trust somebody with something that was really precious that you worked really hard on? And what did it take to do that? Some other things that you see in the Emerald Room, we do a silent read in the morning, and that looks really different for different students. Like I said, it's really individual. Everybody does a silent read. It's important to me that everybody read, but everybody reads in a different way. I have some students who really struggle to access the kind of content that they're able to comprehend at their reading level. They just can't decode the text to the level that they're able to read with their ears. So we have a lot of students who, you might label them with dyslexia, and they have been, but the way I look at it is they're reading the same text, but a different way. So I have a lot of students using tablets and the computers to do audiobooks for their higher level content, and pairing that with some of the reading skills that they need with a lower content book. So they're still getting the reading skills that they need, but they're also getting the higher level content. But everybody does that for the first 45 minutes, and the point is that well, we've worked up to 45 minutes. It started about 20. But the point is that everybody's doing a cooperative activity. Everybody's working together, and everybody's a part of that, but it looks completely different for each individual. And so what Charles is doing and what Stephen is doing aren't the same in the room. I wanted to speak very briefly, based on one of the questions that you asked, about homework, because I think it is important, and it's sort of something I feel passionate about. So I wanted to speak just really briefly on that. I have a lot of parents and students who really want and like homework, and we work with them based on what they need and what they enjoy and what the family system will accommodate to do that. And I have a lot of students and parents who don't like homework and who don't want it, and for whom it doesn't really benefit. So it's a really, again, individual consideration that we make. I have a student, for example, who needs everything repeated many, many times in order for them to really get it. It's not something that they pick up quickly. Anything, pretty much, is not something that they pick up quickly. But they will get it with repetitive exposure. For them, homework makes a lot of sense, because the thing that I do in the morning and the thing that they do at the night is just another repetition of the same thing. And they get it and they enjoy it. And the family system works with that. But I have other students who get it the very first time that they see it. They have like photographic memory. I mean, it's some crazy stuff where you'll tell them about it one time, and 2 weeks later, they'll raise their hand and say, yeah, it was that thing that you talked about 2 weeks ago and haven't discussed since. So for them, it doesn't make a lot of sense to send them home with a sheet of the same thing that they did in the day. But I hope I've spoken to that to some extent. With music, I'm actually really excited because we're just about to start my brand new, and I'm really excited about it. We just worked with Base 7, like I said, and music is also built on a place value system. So it's in Base 8 instead of Base 7, but now that the students are familiar with how to regroup and borrow and carry and all of those things in Base 7, we're ready to work with Base 8 and introduce math and music sort of together.